order. The records will indicate that all of the council is present. The first order of business tonight will be item number 1 is to discuss the agenda item.
Mayor and Council, tonight on your consent agenda, item 4A are the minutes for the May 2nd regular council meeting. Item 4B is a resolution to approve the terms and conditions of an interlocal agreement with the cities of DeSoto and Cedar Hill, and this is for the shared regional training coordinator position that we added this year. You may recall in the budget last year we talked about adding that position. So that person was hired at the beginning of this year. This is the interlocal agreement that just incorporates that and ensures that we're sharing the cost of that position. It is a Cedar Hill employee, and the 3 cities share the cost equally of that coordinator. Item 4C is a resolution authorizing purchase of pavement crack and joint sealing services from Kurtco. This is a City of Grand Prairie contract, and this would be for a 12-month term, and the estimated amount is $56,437 that is budgeted. This is part of our pavement management maintenance for roads that do not need surface treatment. We just do the crack sealing to fill in the areas with hot asphalt and keeps water from penetrating below the surface and deteriorating the streets further.
So the pavement management system is used to determine what streets get that routine maintenance?
Yes. What it does is it tells us the street, and it tells us what is the best maintenance practice for that. And then, without getting too complicated, we run that through a committee to make sure that we coordinate with water, wastewater, and drainage, so that we don't do the proverbial fix the street and then dig it up a year later for a water line. So there's a lot of staff input into that, but anyway, but the streets are determined by the pavement management program itself.
The next item, 4D, is a resolution authorizing the purchase of pavement lifting services from Eurotech. This is through a Texas buy board contract. We've been doing this for several years as well, and what they do is for areas where pavement has dropped, they can go in and inject a polyurethane foam underneath that to raise the pavement back up to the proper level. And those funds are budgeted as well in the street maintenance budget.
Is that what we always do?
Yes.
For certain areas we do.
Yeah, we were doing that when I was here.
Oh, really? And it holds?
Super
It's very effective, it's very cost effective.
The next item, 4E, is a resolution authorizing purchase of emergency medical supplies from Boundtree Medical Products. This is through a City of Richardson contract, and this is for the expendable type of supplies that are used by our EMS. So that includes drugs, medical supplies, cardiac management supplies, IVs, and things like that. And those funds are budgeted as well for this.
Is that for a whole year?
This is for a 12-month period, 67,000. So this would be about as 33,500 for the remainder of this year, and then 33,500 for the next 6 months of the new fiscal year.
Seems cheap.
You might want to get on that contract.
You've been overcharged.
You can join the Duncanville bid.
Item 4F is a resolution authorizing purchase of manhole rehabilitation services from In Situ Form Technologies. This is also through a buy board contract. This is in the amount of $65,000. Again, this is a technology that we've been using for some time with In Situ Form, where they come in and they put a spray application on manholes and the areas to prevent further corrosion and infiltration of water into our sanitary sewer system. more infiltration that we have in our wastewater system, there's more treatment costs that we have with TRA, so we can, which does not have a corresponding revenue. So the more that we can cut down on infiltration into our sewer system, that saves us costs in the long run. The next item, 4G, is an ordinance approving a negotiated settlement between Atmos City Steering Committee and Atmos Energy Corporation. Atmos has the ability to submit a rate request increase to Texas Utilities Commission. And the cities that are part of this consortium have negotiated in the past the ability to do what's called a rate review mechanism, where they can review the rate request of Atmos. Atmos can put in for rate increase based on their maintenance and operations, their capital investments, and so forth. If the city's consortium did not challenge it and review that, it is most likely that the Public Utilities Commission would simply endorse Atmos's rate request. This year, Atmos made a request of $57.4 million in additional revenues on a system-wide basis, and through the negotiation and the review of the steering committee consortium, that was reduced to $48 million on a system-wide basis. The result of that is that the average consumer will see an increase of about $2.04 or a less than 4% increase on their monthly bills.
Just a general question. This might be a question for Mike. Does Duncanville have any situations with Atmos where they have to replace some of their older pipes?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to come to my street? It's totally torn up. I mean, like big time, like it looks like a war went on.
Right, and they're going up and down Cedar Ridge as well.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
noticing that.
They're
So that's
replacing
Atmos.
lines. They're replacing lines in various parts of the city.
They have a front end scoop thing on practically every driveway.
In talking with Greg Zilka, who is with Atmos, he's one of the area representatives, but up to the northwest, he said that they're in the process, they're gonna have to replace everything. They bought the old Lone Star gas, and some of this stuff is getting wide open, and it's on a replacement plan now, so. And they've kind of decided where the largest need was based upon leakage and stuff like that, and so we're in the mix.
And the same problem we have with some of ours.
A
The
lot
aging
of-
infrastructure.
A lot of that pipe that they had that's old was metal pipe and it had no type of lining on it, and so it deteriorates over time.
They usually put cathodic protection, but they were also supposed to be going in and slip lining the services. And that they have been getting permits through us for doing that as well. And that they do most of the time without having to shut the gas off to anybody. They have a device that is like a bypass. And while they put that bypass on there, they put that slip lining in and then pull the bypass, and people don't even really know that they've ever been there. But it's very similar to that
In
in situ
some
form.
cases.
Yeah. It
In some
cut a
cases,
piece of the driveway out, about this big, all the way across.
Now, on the
They
line
cut my
replacements,
phone
you'll know they're
line.
there.
They cut my U-verse line. So for a whole day, no phone, no TV, no nothing.
Read a lot of it.
Yeah, and you left out one thing they're trying to do is put these things in where they can read your meter from the sky. Oh, yeah, that's probably more important to them than the,
Well, I assume that part of this rate increase that we're looking at had something to do with their increased cost of operation.
you think it's more expensive to read it from the sky or to send a guy out there? I would think to send the guy out.
Next item is 4H, which is the resolution approving an agreement with McCreary, Veselka, Bragg, and Allen for municipal court collection services. This is a law firm that we've used since 2011 for municipal court delinquent fines. Their expenses, or what we pay them, is a percentage of the collections. This year, their contract was up, and so we put out an RFP and got 4 proposals back, and then staff evaluation team interviewed the top 2 and had chose to stay with MBVA. Their percentage is 30% of fees, and that's set forth in the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, the state statutes.
Is that added on to the will?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really not costing us.
Right, it's not costing us anything.
Okay.
Is that, so there was a difference in the bids and the amount that they charge?
No, it's a that's statutory.
Yeah. So it was just a difference in what you thought services?
We've been pleased with them for the last 6 years, 5 years.
I remember when you changed.
Those are all of the items on the consent agenda. On the regular agenda, items for individual consideration, the first item, item 5A, is a sign variance. And this is for a sign, pole sign that's located on a commercial retail property at 1211 South Main Street. There's 4 tenants in that retail center. It's a new retail center. You may be familiar with where that is. The pole sign, it's the square footage of the pole sign meets the sign ordinance, but the location of the sign does not. There's a requirement of a 15-foot setback from the property line, and since it's on a corner that has 2 front property lines, and so there's a variance required on both the north and the east side. One variance is 3 feet, and the other one, or 5 feet, and the other one is a 12-foot setback variance. The Sign Control Board did hear this request at its meeting on April 27th and recommended approval. Item 5B is also a sign variance request, and this is the new La Choacana Meat Market on 1109 East Highway 67. This opened in March. They are requesting an additional square footage. They were approved for a sign of 76 square feet. The ordinance requirement, the ordinance limit is 90 square feet, and they are asking for an additional 41 square feet. So that requires a variance of 27.5 square feet over the allowed limit of 90. Again, the Sign Control Board heard this request at its April 27th meeting and recommended approval.
Is La Michoacan open?
Yes, they are. They opened in March.
I have a question.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
laundromat we turned down because it's too large. And so this seems to be a recurring problem. So either we need to fix our ordinance, or we need to, but because if we continue to give in, we didn't give the laundromat areas, but if we give variances, then our ordinances are seen as of no effect. So my question is to you as the manager, do you think we need to look at our ordinance?
Well, before I answer that, I'm going to ask Greg to kind of comment on it and on this particular one.
Well, I think what the sign control board looks at in a case like this is how it's going to look in terms of sign clutter on the building itself. Well, I might agree to one that y'all turned down.
Wanted 2. They wanted 2 signs.
And it was on the end of the building, if I
Yeah.
recall, too.
And it did have a cluttered look because the size of that building, the side of that building was rather small. When you look at this, and I've got in the slide presentation, you'll see that the type of facade that they have actually, it would appear not to be cluttered by adding.
I saw it, it doesn't look cluttered at all.
Right, and one of the things they've talked to us about from Michoacan is that they have a look to all their buildings, and they try to keep it similar to that. They understand we have rules and regulations that may not allow them to have everything they want, because there's some other things we've had them remove that weren't allowed. So, but that's what they're shooting for, to try to keep that same image from store to store.
So do you think we need to go back and look at our sign ordinance?
It never hurts to do a review. I mean, it's been a while since we've done a review. And they're charged with doing that from time to time on their own or by direction from council.
I think it is something we can look at, but I would also say too that you've only seen a few variances, so most people are complying with the ordinance and the limitations the way they are now. So, and I think that's what you want. You're going to occasionally have a variance because of the situation of it, and again, how it looks in relation to the other buildings is the reason why you have that ability to grant a variance. I would not right now recommend increasing the square footage limits though, but I think it is worthwhile, as Greg said, to take a look at the ordinance itself and see what the requirements are, see if they match with what our goals, our overall goals are. And I think that will also be part of some of the code or the development regulation reviews that we will do as a result of the comprehensive plan and the recommendations from that.
I was surprised reading that they've got about 100 stores in Texas, so it's a pretty good.
They've done a great job with that building. I mean, it looked great.
Yeah, well, the way it kind of blends into the front of the building, and it doesn't look like something plastered out there. It's glaring at you.
Item 5C is a resolution amending previous resolution 2016-07-19-5B. And this was for a hotel occupancy tax grant for a digital pole sign for the International Museum of Cultures. That grant was awarded in the amount of $26,500. However, the sign has been installed, but the bid for that sign did not include the electrical work, and so it does not have electricity to it, and it was a digital sign with an LED reader board on it. So the museum is asking for an additional $4,643 to finish that project.
I talked to Mary Faye's here. I've spoken with her, and it was, to the best of her knowledge, it was included, the electrical work was. So I think, I think in regards to whether or not we approve it, we should take that into consideration, that she thought it was included. Am I misstating you? Am I misstating you? You thought it was included, the electrical?
I thought it was a turnkey operation.
Absolutely.
Item 5D is a resolution approving an amendment to the DCEDC bylaws. And right now in the bylaws for the DCEDC, it requires them to approve their annual budget at least 90 days prior to October 1st. And that has created some problems because as we're going through the budget process, we are still working on revenues, estimated revenues, working on expenditures. And even though staff reviews the budget with the DCEDC, because of the bylaws, they have to approve it, but then if we come back with a change, they have to approve it again. So the recommended change in the bylaws is that the DCEDC will approve a proposed budget prior to July 31st of each fiscal year, or of each year. That puts it in alignment with the city budget, so the DCEDC would still approve their proposed budget prior to me providing or submitting the annual budget in each year.
May I ask a question? You all meet once a month, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just pragmatically, it all fits together if you all had those additional days.
Yes, sir.
And the
We
DC
run into that, I'm sorry, we run into that same problem. Yeah.
And the DCEDC board recommended approval. Item 5E is a resolution authorizing payment of a hiring incentive for the police department. This would provide a $2,500, essentially a signing bonus, or a $3,500 bonus to qualified applicants. It would be payable at the time they finish their first training. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And a question, how did you come up with those numbers, 2,500, 3,500?
Well, that's a good question, Ben.
we were looking for strategies to fill our vacancies, and I contacted a number of police departments across the Metroplex and across the state, and those numbers vary. For example, the city of DeSoto offers a flat $3,000 sign-in bonus. The city of Cedar Hill offers up to $5,000 depending on the years of service. The city of Houston offers $12,000. So I came up with something that I thought was reasonable for our city.
You think it will work? I mean, this amount?
Yes,
Will
ma'am.
be successful with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, if you're gonna pay money to advertise for police officers, what a better way to do it than have police officers who know people that could bring them in, and they get the benefit instead of some billboard company or whatever.
Well, we have, this is a bonus for someone coming into an applicant. We already have a referral bonus in place too, that we will provide an incentive payment to someone if they refer someone and they get hired. So that has been in place for a while.
So we already have 2 of the 4 best Southwest cities that offer incentives.
Yes,
That's
sir.
the word.
That's correct.
So
And
we'll
it's-
be the 3rd.
Yes, sir, and it's been very successful for them, and we're hoping the same for our department.
And you offer the incentives for people to turn in names as possible applicants to anybody? Or is that just police? Just police officers?
I want to believe the city ordinance says police and fire.
And fire? Oh,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Because I was going to say, we need to put that out there.
Yes, ma'am.
It's to, we might have some citizens offering up their relatives.
Pass the test.
Oh,
Anybody
that's
can
right.
be a police officer. You gotta pass the test.
Well, they can help them, study.
We think this is a necessary tool, especially in the environment today, trying to recruit for police. The last item on the agenda is a resolution for the approval of the special events trailer and the associated policy. There's been no changes since the last time we discussed this with you, other than we said we would bring it back to you for approval. Those are all of the items on the agenda.
Okay, there are no briefing presentations tonight. So at this time, and it is now 6:23, we will convene into a executive session. Being here tonight, this is really a special occasion for us because we did have elections. We've got one new city council member elected because one of our stars has decided he didn't want to run again this time. So in a moment, we're going to have our swearing-in ceremony and our exchange of seat for the new city council person. So prior to that, we'll have our invocation led by Pastor Frank Allegra. Is Frank here? Okay. Well, in that case, you know what I'm going to do? We've got our new city councilman sitting right on the front row, and I'm going to ask him if he will give the invocation, and then after that, we'll have our pledge of allegiance to the flags. Please stand.
Let's pray. Gracious God, our Father, we come to you this evening with an attitude of gratitude, thankful for an opportunity to call on your most holy name. Father, we are just so excited about the fact that you have expressed your love in the form of giving your Son so that we might have life and have it more abundantly. So God, we're just thankful for that. And Lord, if you don't do anything else, you've already done too much. But thank you for life and life as well as it is. We give you glory tonight. Father, we thank you for those assembled here. We thank you for this city. We thank you for the leadership. Father, everyone here tonight is here because they love this city. And so, Father, we pray you continue to lead, guide, and direct those that you have placed in charge. We pray that you would give us clarity of thought, control our emotions, and allow us to do those things that will not only move the city forward, but glorify your most holy name. We thank you in advance for what we know you're able to do. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Let everyone say together, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge the allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. The next agenda item will be to take any action necessary as a result of the executive session. We did have some results tonight, and I'm going to ask our city attorney to read a motion, and then the council, if you so choose, can make the motion.
Mayor and council, as a result of the executive session, we presented you with a proposed settlement agreement. I'm sorry. After the executive session, I'm going to ask council to consider a motion. A proposed settlement agreement was presented to the council concerning the city and Dr. Dotson, Lori Dotson. Dr. Dotson will not participate since he has a conflict and has filed the required conflict. And in light of that executive session, I'd ask the council to consider a settlement agreement and contract for the purchase of and sale in lieu of eminent domain for a small portion of right-of-way by and between the city of Duncanville and Dr. Ronald Dotson and Lori Dotson for the Wintergreen Road project.
Councilman Swartz?
Move we accept the motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilwoman Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor. In the summer of 2013, a successful petition was brought about by the citizens of Duncanville to place a referendum on the ballot. And in November 5th, 2013, the citizens voted 60% to 40% not to enter into an agreement with the county for any improvements in relationship to the Wintergreen Road project. The council in 2013 did so anyway. The campaign issue, this was a campaign issue that I ran on 2 years ago. I promised my district that I would support that referendum. This does not in any way, I respect my fellow council members, and they're just cleaning up an issue that the 2013 council has left behind. And this is not an immoral vote or an illegal vote. I'm just being true to the promise that I made my district 2 years ago. So with that, Mayor, I'll be voting no.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing no further lights, will you please vote? Thank you very much. Okay. Now we're into the canvassing of the election and oaths. Item number 1 is to consider a resolution approving the canvass of returns and declaration of results on the general election of municipal officers held on May the 6th, 2017. We've got a little sound problem here. Testing, testing. Testing, testing.
Is that better?
Testing, testing. Is that better? Do you need a little louder than that? If we can bring it up some more. Testing, testing. Okay, I guess we'll just have to speak a little louder. He's got it up as high as it'll go. We'll have to see what's going wrong here. Okay, so item number 1 is the canvassing of the votes.
Mayor, I'll read that for the
Okay.
council.
All right.
Resolution of the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, canvassing and declaring the results of the May 6, 2017 general election for council member at large, council members for districts 1, 3, and 5, providing an effective date. Whereas it is hereby found and determined that the notices of a general election were duly given in the form and manner and time required by law, and said elections were in all respects legally held and conducted in accordance with applicable laws of the state of Texas, and the proceedings calling and governing the holding of such elections. And whereas it is imperative to consider the returns of the general election held on, and special election held on May 6, 2017, for the purpose of electing the herein named officials before the qualified voters of the city, and whereas the returns of the general election have been duly and legally made and submitted to the City Council for canvassing and tabulation of the returns for the polling places and for early voting as canvassed and tabulated by this governing body are as follows. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Duncanville, Texas, after examining said returns and opening and canvassing the votes of said election, that the results of settled general election are as follows. Section 1, the following number of votes were cast for the following named candidate for the office of council member at large, to wit, Patrick LeBlanc, early voting 480, election day 311, total 791. Todd H. Durant, early voting 312, election day 209, total votes 521. It appearing that Patrick LeBlanc received the majority of all votes cast for the office of council member at large, Patrick LeBlanc is hereby declared to be elected to serve a 2-year term after qualifying. Section 2, that the following number of votes were cast for the following named candidate for the office of council member District 1, to wit, Matthew G. Jones, early vote 540, election day votes 58, total votes 112. Dennis Schwartz, early voting 252, election day 172, total votes 424. It appearing that Dennis Schwartz received the majority of all votes cast for the office of council member District 1, Dennis Schwartz is hereby declared to be elected to serve a 2-year term after qualifying. Section 3 of the canvass, that the following number of votes were cast for the following named candidate for the office of District 3, council member District 3, to wit, Leslie Thomas, early votes 49, election day votes 41, total votes 90. It appearing that Leslie Thomas received a majority of all votes cast for the office of council member District 3, Leslie Thomas is hereby declared to be elected to serve a 2-year term after qualifying. Section 4, that the following number of votes were cast for the following named candidate for the office of council member District 5, to wit, Francis Rizzo, 72 votes, election day 55, total votes 127. Jeanette Jameson, early votes 147, election day 83, total votes 230. It appearing that Jeanette Jameson received a majority of all votes cast for the office of council member District 5, Jeanette Jameson is hereby declared to be elected to serve a 2-year term after qualifying. This resolution declaring the results of municipal election shall become effectively immediate after its passage. It's further ordered that the canvass and declaration of the results of said election shall be entered into the minutes of the City Council, and that said officers, after being qualified and taken their oath, shall serve it during the term commencing on May 16, 2017, and thereafter until their successors are duly elected and qualified. Duly considered and passed by the City Council of the City of Duncanville the 16th day of May 2017, approved as the mayor, attested as to City Secretary. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. The chair now will entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Will you please vote? Thank you. Item number 2 is the swearing in of the newly elected council members. City Secretary?
Yes, sir. I'll go down to the podium and I'll call each one individually, and you can come up and take your oath. Patrick, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Patrick LeBlanc,
I, Patrick LeBlanc,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of council member at large
the duties of the office of councilman at large
of the city of Duncanville, state of Texas,
of the city of Duncanville, state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Dennis Schwartz, you'll come down, please. Would you raise your right hand? I, Dennis Schwartz, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Councilmember District 1
Councilmember District 1,
of the city of Duncanville, state of Texas,
City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and of this state, so help me God.
and of this state, so help me God.
Raise your right hand. I, Leslie Thomas,
I, Leslie Thomas,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the Council Member District 3
the duties of the Council Member Office of District 3
of the City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
of the City of Duncanville, Texas,
and will to the best of my ability preserve,
and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, its laws, and the laws of this great state of Texas. So help me God.
Johnette Jameson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of Council Member District 5
of the Office of Council Member District 5
of the City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
of the City of Duncanville, State of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state,
of the United States and of this state,
so help me God.
so help me God. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to the voters in District 5 who elected me. There's many of you came tonight, and I really appreciate it. Your confidence in me to represent you is a trust that I hold dear. We are a diverse district with many different views on important issues. I maintain an open door to your expressions of those views. I will continue to earn your trust and support every day. I would also like to thank my family for their support and understanding of the time spent away from home. Being a city council member requires a lot of time away from your family. Thank you again for your patience and understanding. I made a decision years ago to either move or stay and fight for my district. Thank you again for electing me to another term.
Mr. Harvey, would you come up, please? I want to say it's been a real pleasure to serve with this guy. He brought a world of experience to the council when he came because he's been financial director for many, many years in several cities. So he brought an area of expertise that we needed and we got. And he has worked tirelessly in doing the business of the city. So, Patrick, you got some big shoes to fill. Now, I don't know about shoe size, but but they're big shoes. Patrick, we want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for what you've done. And we've got a plaque to give to you tonight, and it says, from the city of Duncanville, Patrick Harvey, in recognition of the service to the city of Duncanville, council member at large, city of Duncanville, city council, May 21, 2013 through May 16, 2017. And we present this to you and say thank you.
If I can take a moment to provide an expression, thank you so much. I would like to thank my fellow city council members for providing me the opportunity to serve on the Sister City Commission. I also want to thank Mr. City Manager Kevin Hugman and the city's department directors for their leadership, and the entire city staff for their dedication and commitment to better the quality of life for all of us who live here. And now I would like to thank each and every one of you. You deserve the credit for all the good things that have happened. Thank you for your leap of faith when you chose to place your trust in the one standing here before you now. You deserve the credit. I am thankful to have been blessed with the opportunity to have helped. This journey that we have been on together has led to you feeling better about the direction of our community. I am truly grateful to have helped. My wife told me recently that my experience serving you has made me a better person. I agree. Thank you for this journey, and thank you for your trust and faith. And now, may God give you, for every storm, a rainbow, for every tear, a smile, for every care, a promise, and a blessing in each trial. For every problem life sends, a faithful friend to share. For every sigh, a sweet song, and an answer for each prayer. Good night. God bless.
This is something we rarely do. We're going to recess our meeting at 7:25 for a few minutes and have a reception honoring Patrick Harvey. So where are we going? Right out in the lobby. And then after a few minutes, we'll be back in here to wrap up our final agenda items. So we're recessed, and it's at 7:26. I will now call the city council meeting back to order. Our second item will be the first one up. Item number 2, proclamations and presentations. Items A and B, we're going to mail to them because they had conflicts and could not be here tonight to receive the proclamation. Dr. Dotson tells me that the first one, Dakota, he delivered. So you didn't know at the time you were delivering a future Eagle Scout, but very fine young gentleman. So at this time, item number C is a proclamation recognizing the week of May 21 through 27, 2017 as Emergency Medical Services Week, with May 24 being Emergency Medical Service for Children, EMSC Day. So at this time, I would call all of our firemen down to the front, and I'll come down and present the proclamation. They're always prepared. We went ahead and took a picture a while ago in case they got called out. But hopefully you'll be able to be here all night long. I want to present this proclamation to you in the fire department at this time, and then I'll read it. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service And whereas the members of the Emergency Medical Services team are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical service system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, first responders, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of the Emergency Medical Services team, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishment of emergency medical service providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Therefore, I, David L. Green, Mayor of the City of Duncanville, Texas, in recognition of this event, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21 through May 27, 2017, with May 24 being Emergency Medical Services for Children, EMSC Day, as Emergency Medical Services Week, with the theme EMS Strong, Always in Service. I encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. From the fire department, we certainly appreciate the support that the city council and the citizens of Duncanville give us each and every day. These guys have a very demanding job, but it's also very rewarding at the same time. I'd also like to take time to let everybody know that just recently, through the American Heart Association, American Stroke Association, Duncanville Fire Department received the Mission Lifeline Award, which takes what they call a door to balloon time for heart attacks. There are certain criteria we must meet. We received a silver last year. We got a bronze this year. It was due to the volume of calls that we have, but we do an excellent job of getting patients to the hospital, getting them into the cardiac cath lab. So dropping off is not that bad. That means the citizens of Duncanville are getting healthier. We'll look at it like that. Also, we had a crew that was nominated or actually received an award from Care Flight. It's called the Care Flight First Responders Award. And actually, tonight we do have that crew here on the ambulance. It was Pat Stubbs and Brent Neighbors. Just step forward. On the Quint, who responded with them, it was Captain Jason Wigington, driver James Leary, and firefighter paramedic Micah Shaw. This happened to be a 13-year-old that went into cardiac arrest due to a medical condition, and they successfully revived him, and he walked out of the hospital, and he actually came by the fire station to see them. So they did receive an award for that, and that was a very appropriate award for them to receive. All right, thank you. The next thing. Next item I have is we have two firefighters that just went through a community paramedic program, which is a proactive approach to EMS that has started taking off in the past year. Stephen Pogue and Martin Garcia just completed community paramedic school. Step forward, because y'all are going to be seen out and about there. This program came about with the new healthcare, Affordable Health Care Act, where if a patient goes back to the hospital for the same condition, the hospital they lose some money, and they've invested in fire departments and EMS programs to have these guys trained where they can go out into the community and educate the patients, so hopefully they will stay out of the hospitals. You'll probably see them out and about in town, going to residences in probably a suburban type vehicle, fire department vehicle, and that's what they'll be doing, so you'll know who they are. Last time on the agenda, we did hire, just recently we hired three. We hired another guy approximately 2 months ago, and I'd like to introduce them. First one's Zachary Gossett, Tristan Spray, Kent Thomas, and John Cook. I'd like to welcome them to the city of Duncanville. And that's all I have, and we certainly appreciate it.
Thank all of you for what you do. I can't brag enough on our fire EMS. We're told all over, y'all are the best. And we know it. And I hope all the citizens of Duncanville know it too. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is citizen input period. And do we have any cards at all tonight? We do not, so we will dispense with that. And we'll move right into our consent agenda, which are items 4A through H. So at this time, I'll ask the city secretary if she will read the captions on those.
Item 4A, consider the minutes for the May 2, 2017 regular city council meeting. 4B, consider a resolution approving the terms and conditions of the interlocal agreement by and between the city of DeSoto, Texas, the city of Duncanville, Texas, and the city of Cedar Hill, Texas, for services related to shared regional fire training officer position. 4C, consider a resolution authorizing the purchase of pavement, crack, and joint sealing services from Kurtco, Inc. through the City of Grand Prairie contract number 16133 for the unit prices bid with an estimated expenditure amount of $56,437. Item 4D, consider a resolution authorizing the purchase of pavement lifting services from Eurotech USA, Inc. through the TechSmart Buy contract number 745-A1 for the unit prices bid with an estimated expenditure amount of $70,000. 4E, consider a resolution authorizing the purchase of emergency medical supplies from Bound Tree Medical Products, Inc. through the City of Richardson contracts number 12-15 and 37-15 for the unit prices bid with an estimated expenditure amount of $67,000. 4F, consider a resolution authorizing the purchase of manhole rehabilitation services from Instituform Technologies, LLC through the Buy Board contract number 462-14 for the unit prices bid with an estimated expenditure amount of $65,000. 4G, consider an ordinance approving a negotiated settlement between the Atmos Cities Steering Committee and Atmos Energy Corp. Mid-Tex Division regarding the company's 2017 rate review mechanism filings, declaring existing rates to be unreasonable, adopting tariffs that reflect rate adjustments consistent with the negotiated settlement, finding the rates to be set by the settlement tariffs to be just and reasonable and in the public interest, requiring reconciliation and rate adjustments if federal income tax rates change, terminating the RRM process for 2018, pending renegotiation of RRM terms and conditions, requiring the company to reimburse ACSC's reasonable rate marking expenses, determining that this ordinance was passed in accordance with the requirements of the Texas Open Meetings Act, adopting a savings clause, declaring an effective date, and requiring delivery of this ordinance to the company and the ACS's legal counsel. 4H, consider a resolution approving an agreement with McCreary, Veselka, Bragg and Allen, P.C., for municipal court collection services pursuant to Section 103.0031 of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure, and authorizing the city manager to execute the same, and approving an additional 30% collection fee for cases which are collected upon pursuant to this agreement, and providing an effective date.
Council, you've heard the captions read. Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Will you please vote? Thank you very much. Item number 5 are items for individual consideration. 5A is to consider a resolution to accept and approve the Duncanville Sign Control Board grant of 12-foot setback variance from the east property line and a 5-foot setback variance from the north property line for location of a monopole sign at 1211 South Main Street, Duncanville, Texas. And such sign shall be located, constructed, and maintained to the dimensions as depicted in Exhibit A and B.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. The resolution tonight, again, is to allow a pole sign to be set back less than those setback requirements of 15 feet as were mentioned during the briefing session, and again mentioned right now in the reading of the resolution heading. The applicant is Celerino Sanchez, and he's constructed a 4-tenant retail center on a formerly vacant lot at 1211 South Main Street. And in doing so, he's created a parking lot that has put some restrictions on limitations where he can put his signs to meet the requirements for the number of parking spaces. That happens quite often, and as we talked about in the briefing session, it's something that sign control board should look at in the future about trying to see what we can do to remedy those problems when parking conflicts with sign location. Again, here's the request that they made to allow the east property line setback to be 3 feet instead of the required 15, and the requirement on the north side to be 10 feet instead of the requirement. And there's the 15-foot setback rule under item number 1 under pole signs there. Now this is to give you an idea of where this particular property is, right there. There's for reference, there's the bowling alley. Redbird Lane is right there. So it's a very nicely developed property. If any of you haven't been down there, you've noticed it's been done very well. It's an attractive building, and he just got stuck with a pole sign that was not going to be able to meet the requirements. The council, the sign control board met on this, and they approved it 6 votes to approve, none against. Here's that parking layout that we're talking about. And once again, that's where his sign is right there. And you see the limited area that he has to place that sign. That's why he's requiring. One thing that didn't get mentioned, and I should mention, is that on that part of Main Street, it's in alignment with all the other signs that were put in some 30 and 40 years ago. So it's not like this sign stands out by if you were to grant the variance. It's no closer to Main Street than any of the other signs up and down the street there. And there's a picture of the sign. I was told today, I didn't realize that the little taqueria is already open. Any questions about the specific issue? Okay. I'm sorry? No, but somebody that told me it was open today had eaten there and said it was very enjoyable. So I'll probably be going there soon. So at this point, the city staff recommends approval of that resolution.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will you please? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be voting for this variance, and I think it needs to be, my reason needs to be on record why I'll be voting for it, because when you give a variance, you kind of want to give a guideline as to why one property but not another property. And this sign will be in alignment with all the other signs on Main Street. The parking, the way that the building is, the parking is kind of an obstruction to, if you would put a sign in the middle of the parking lot, it wouldn't be safe. And then also, it has two frontages. How do I say that? The streets.
Two business fronts.
Two business fronts, which it's just hard to find a setback for 15 feet. So that's why I'll be voting for this.
Okay, seeing no further lights, will you please vote? Okay, thank you. Item number 5B is to consider a resolution to accept and approve the Duncanville Sign Control Board grant of 27.52 square foot variance for the location of a wall sign at 1109 East Highway 67, Duncanville, Texas. And such sign should be constructed, located, and maintained to the dimensions as depicted in Exhibit A.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The applicant in this case is Louis Vega. He's a representative of La Michoacana Meat Market, which opened earlier this year. And they're located, I'll go ahead and get you there right now. They're located in an old beer and wine location. Store there. They expanded that store, and I can't remember exactly how many square feet, but it's quite an expansion they did to facilitate the needs of their market. There's a Winco, and this is Wheatland right here, so it gives you some reference to where they're located. Well, here I've got it right here. It's a 3,500 square foot expansion that they did, and the request is for an additional 27.52 square feet above the allowable 90 square feet. And Councilman Schwartz at our last Sign Control Board review of a decision here had requested that when we have wall signage that we include the percentage above the existing limit to the wall signage, so it'll give a better reference to exactly what's being approved, so that we took advantage of that and presented that to the Sign Control Board. Now, this is the sign at the top, the La Michoacana Meat Market sign is already there. It was legally permitted and within the 90 square feet. It's that bottom portion, which that's an overlay on there. That's not actual signage that's up yet. It's the taqueria, fruteria, and panaderia that they're wanting to put up. And this is in keeping with other storefronts that they have at a lot of other locations. So it's a 31% increase over the allowable 90 square feet to give it a reference. But as you can see, it's not, it kind of fits that facade that they put up there. The board did vote in 6-0 in favor of the motion. So again, we recommend the passing of the resolution on this case.
It really does fit the location. It's on the freeway. And secondly, I didn't realize it, but this company has about 100 stores throughout Texas, and they try to maintain the kind of the same look in all of their stores.
And I will mention, I have eaten there. They do have a little sit-down dining in there. It's a pretty extensive menu. So it's not what you'd call a restaurant, but what you'd find in a supermarket somewhere. And it is good food, and I bought some of their meat there. That's what they're known for, is their meat. Unlike the Supermercado that's being built down the street, which is a full-scale grocery store similar to Terry's, their focus is meat, although they do have a smaller variety of groceries in there.
Seeing no lights, will you please vote? Oh, we didn't get a motion, did we?
Second.
Kind of rushing this thing through tonight. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Please vote. Okay, thank you. Item number 5C is to consider a resolution amending resolution number 2016-017195B, which awarded a hotel occupancy tax grant in the amount of $26,500 to the International Museum of Cultures for a digital pole sign and requesting an additional $4,643 for electrical work.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council. On July, I want to give you a little bit of history first on the project, and then we'll move forward with the request. On July 7th, 2016, the City Council awarded the museum a hotel occupancy tax grant for a digital pole sign in the amount of $26,500. The grant was to be paid as a reimbursement once the project was complete. Here's a picture of the sign. It was actually erected in March of 2017, but the electrical work was not completed. Therefore, the digital portion of the sign is not working. Thus, the project is not complete. And you can see a picture of the sign that's up right now. The Museum of International Cultures has they've supplied us 3 bids for the cost to complete the electrical work. And you can see 2 of them are from Duncanville, or they're Duncanville businesses, and 1 of them is not. French Electric was the lowest bid of being $4,643, and they are a Duncanville business. And then you have South Creek Electrical, followed by Cotton Electric. The museum is requesting amendment to their pole sign grant in the amount of $4,643 to complete that electrical work. This increase would bring their total grant from the $26,500 that was originally approved to $31,143. So with that, Mary Faye Cam with the museum is present this evening if the council has any questions for her, or I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Before we do that, let's get a motion on the floor.
Move to approve.
It's a motion and a second. Okay, Councilwoman Jameson.
Would you explain, I'm sure a lot of people know, but just explain to everyone that doesn't, hotel motel tax fund?
Oh, sure, okay. And where that money comes from? Mm-hmm. Okay, very good. The hotel occupancy taxes basically come from visitors who come into our community and stay in the hotels. And there's a portion of the tax that is applied to their room charge that comes back to the city. A portion goes to the state and a portion comes back to the city. And so those taxes can be used to basically promote tourism, and that's one of the key things that these funds have to be used for. It's a 2-part test. First of all, it has to bring people into the community, and that's overnight visitors. And so this fits that test, and that's why it was approved previously. It can be used for advertising purposes, which that's what this does.
Right. Okay, yeah, that's, I just wanted them to understand that it was not increasing their taxes or something.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, seeing no further lights, will you please vote? Thank you. Item number 5D is to consider a resolution approving an amendment to the Duncanville Community and Economic Development Corporation bylaws by amending Article 4, Functional Corporate Duties and Requirements, Section 7, Annual Corporate Budget.
Thank you, Mayor. The current DCEDC bylaws through Resolution 95-041708 require the board to approve its annual budget 90 days prior to October 1st for the next year. The issues come basically that this means that our budget doesn't align with the city's budgeting process. And so since it doesn't align, basically throughout the next few months after we've already approved our budget, the finance department and other departments' numbers change, which impact our budget as well. This leads to the board having to approve multiple budget amendments until July when the city's budget is filed with the city secretary. And we experienced this last year, and it just didn't seem like a great way to do business. It made more sense if they aligned in the terms of the process. So on April 13th of this year, the DCEDC board voted unanimously to approve amending the bylaws, Article 7, Functional Corporate Duties and Requirements, Section 7 of the annual corporate budget as follows. The new amendment, or the proposed amendment, would read, the board shall prepare and adopt a proposed budget of the expected revenues and proposed expenditures for the next fiscal year on or before July 31st of each year. And we did consult with our attorney, and it does meet all statutes that we need, as well as working with the finance department to meet their dates as well.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion.
Move approval.
Okay, there's a
Second.
motion and a second, some between the two. Okay.
Thank you.
Further questions or comments? Seeing none, will you please vote? Thank you. Item number 5E is to consider a resolution authorizing the payment of hiring incentive of $2,500 to non-certified applicants and $3,500 to Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, TCOLE, certified police officers who are hired in Duncanville police officers, with payment made upon successful completion of the field training program. Chief?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present this item. As you know, the Duncanville Police Department has authorized 61 sworn positions. We currently have 11 sworn vacancies, which equate to 18% of our authorized staff. There are some recruiting challenges now. I think everyone has probably seen some use of force incident on the evening news, and where we would have 100 or so applicants taking our test, that number has really dwindled down. Obviously, we have a better economy now, which means more availability for jobs. There's competition among law enforcement agencies and even the private sector jobs. And then obviously there are some better funded departments that can offer incentives that others cannot. As you know, we are a 143 city, and we are required to offer an entrance exam for the beginning peace officer positions. I provided 3 dates of our last exams. In July of 2016, we had 41 police applicants take our entrance exam. And of those 41, 18 passed the written exam. Now that doesn't include the physical agility test, it doesn't include the polygraph, it doesn't include the psychological, it doesn't include the background investigation, so even that 18 number will dwindle down. In December of 2016, we had 16 police applicants take our entrance exam and only 9 passed. And then in April of this year, we had 39 take our exam and 16 passed. Now, how does this impact the police department? Well, obviously, everyone knows that the patrol division is the backbone of the police department. We must have our calls answered. And so what we had to do in order to ensure that our patrol function is operating efficiently, we had to reassign a detective from our criminal investigative division to the patrol division. We also had to reassign a traffic officer to the patrol division, and we had to stand down our department unit. And if you're not familiar with what the department unit does, it's a specialized unit that we will assign to hot spots in our city. For example, if we experience a number of burglaries or robberies in a particular area of our city, we will assign the department unit there. And if you recall, a year ago, we had some robberies that were occurring at one of our restaurants on Clark Road. The department unit was responsible for locating those robbers and arresting them. And then last but not least, our SWAT team is operating below the recommended national standards. Each SWAT team should have at least 12 members, and right now we don't have that many assigned to our SWAT team. I wanted to include this particular slide to share with you information regarding our response time. The Duncanville Police Department has always had a tremendous response time to our calls for service. Priority calls, priority 1 and priority 2 calls, police service, have remained essentially the same over the past year. And if you look down at the graph, 12 months ago, priority calls, we were able to answer those calls in 3 minutes and 55 seconds. That number has actually gone down, and it shows the dedication of the men and women of the Duncanville Police Department. We're committed to getting to those calls as quickly as we can. Priority 1 calls, 12 months ago, it was 5 minutes and 53 seconds. That number has increased just a little bit. Priority 2 calls, 7 minutes and 54 seconds. And then 6 months later, 7 minutes and 57 seconds. And then the priority 3 calls, 13 minutes 12 months ago, and 6 months ago, 14 minutes and 33 seconds. Now I've defined those priority calls for you. P is for life-saving situations. For example, if we received a call at the high school that someone's been shot, we would want to get there as quickly as we can. Priority 1 would be an in-progress call when it requires immediate dispatch of the nearest available units. Then priority 2 is an in-progress or just occurred incident, and that's involving property. For example, if a neighbor saw someone steal a lawnmower. And it requires an expeditious dispatch of the big unit or the nearest available unit. And then priority 3, which is the one that increased more than the others, is a not in progress or non-life-threatening call. So what are we currently doing to fill our vacancies? Well, we're doing a number of things. We've recently updated our lateral entry hiring policy to attract experienced officers. And essentially what that does is we try to take officers from other departments. For example, if we have a 3-year Dallas officer who desires to come to our department, we would bring that individual in and we would hire them at our 3-year pay step. We will purchase a featured listing advertising with officer.com. We are attending more career fairs and job fairs. We recently attended one at the University of Texas at Dallas, North Texas at Dallas, excuse me. We will add a video to our website that's geared towards recruiting women. We're going to purchase a radio ad. We're going to increase our use of social media. We're also going to place an ad with the Texas Municipal League, the Texas Police Chiefs Association, and then we're going to expand our use of Facebook. And then last but not least, I'm here this evening requesting that you approve this resolutions for the hiring incentive. As I indicated to you during the briefing session, there are a number of police departments across the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and across the state that have had signing bonuses, and it's been very successful. I spoke with Chief Rose as well as Chief Costa, and they both have indicated that their departments have had some success. And then there's other departments, Bennett is close to Amarillo, of course we all know where Houston, Grand Prairie, San Antonio, and also have chiefs. So how are we going to pay for this? We're asking that these funds come from the general fund, but Mayor and Council, I do not see this impacting the budget at all. As you know, we have 11 vacancies. That means we're not paying salaries and benefits for 11 positions currently. And then last but not least, we will save money from having to send individuals to the police academy. Everyone is required to take our entrance exam, as I indicated, because we are a civil service city. And just to update you on our current hiring process, we had one police officer that left our department to join another police department. She has since reapplied, and we are very close to rehiring her. We also have an experienced officer with the Dark Police Department who is in the hiring process, and we hope to hire him soon. And then we have our public service officer, who is our jailer, also applied for a police officer position, and she is in the process as well. So that number could go from 11 to 8 here within the next week. Be happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Councilwoman James.
A couple of things. One, how about age? What is the age?
I believe it's 44, is that right?
Turn your mic on, Johnny.
That's the maximum age, 44.
And what's the youngest you take?
It is 21.
So 21 to 44,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? And you want to explain about when you offer a bonus, how long they need to commit to stay?
You know, I did not explore that. I will. I would have to ask Mr. Hager if that's possible to do because we're civil service, but there are some agencies that have contracts, but they're not civil service agencies, I believe.
Yeah, and Chief, what we would do is there would have to be a civil service rule adopted by the commission, and then they would set the parameters of how, in Texas, we can't pay a bonus. You have to earn it. So some cities have they have to stay so long, or they have to pay back part of the bonus. So we'll explore those possibilities. I think Plano does that, and we've done that in the fire service as well, where we incentivize their hiring, and then if they don't stay for a certain length of time, they pay back that money.
Yeah.
And the city of DeSoto is also 143, and they have the same law firm as we do, so they've already explored it, and this has been approved.
Okay. So we will have that as part of it, is, okay. We don't want them to get their bonus and bounce.
Well, the bonus is going to the police officer that's already here. No, it's going to the new one. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, any further questions? Okay, seeing none, Chair will entertain a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Seeing no further discussion, will you please vote? Okay, thank you. Okay, item number F is consider a resolution for the approval of a special events trailer and the associated policy regarding its use by the community and city departments.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Bart Stevenson, Director of Parks and Recreation. I believe this is the third time you guys have seen this item before you. We've held two. We've had two council briefings on this item and bring it for you tonight for your consideration. Purpose of the event trailer is to make it available to citizens and civic groups for community and neighborhood events. We want to follow the capstone that you guys said a couple of years ago of being the most engaged citizens in America. It'll encourage civic, community, and neighborhood groups to engage one another through formal and informal activities. When it's not being used by the public, we also anticipate the trailer to be used by city departments, and you see a couple of those examples there. This is a couple of examples of what the trailer would look like. This program is modeled after two different successful programs, one in Ames, Iowa, as well as Arlington, Texas. And it would be a 7x14 trailer wrapped to make it attractive for the community. It'll also include graphics, as I mentioned, equipment supplies, for a total of about $15,000. Some of the equipment that will be included in the trailer will be tables, chairs, 10x10 tents, generators, portable lighting, games for the folks to play, a music system, as well as first aid supplies. At the last council briefing, we also talked about the proposed policy. That has not changed from the briefing that we held a month ago. The event trailer will be available one event per weekend. We will also consider weekday use for special events and holidays. It will only be available to Duncanville residents, age 18 or older. We do anticipate using city staff as well as our COPS volunteers to transport the trailer as well as to man the trailer during the events. The event organizer is responsible for loading and unloading all of the equipment. Any intentional misuse of the equipment, we can charge them for that. And then in addition to that, as I talked about before, there will be no deposits or fees required for this service. However, should we see that to be a problem in the future, we can always readdress that particular issue. So with that, I'll answer any questions that you might have.
Move approval.
How are you going to determine residency, whether they're a resident of Duncanville?
Typically use their driver's license and or water bill.
Okay. And you're comfortable with an 18-year-old checking out the...
Over 18, yes.
So, does Arlington...
Keep in mind, it will always be transported and manned by city staff or COPS volunteers, so we will always have someone on board.
Okay.